What is going on, everybody? Today we are getting into the top 10 playmakers of the 2023 NFL draft. As you guys know, this class is very deep, at least in my opinion, when it comes to the playmakers. And I think there's some very unique guys. Now, I do want to state this. These rankings are not based off of, what PFF thinks or what NFL.com has these guys ranked as. These guys are ranked solely based off of my eyes and kind of how I process tape. So with that being said, let's jump right into this. At number 10, we got running back out of UCLA, Charbonnet. I believe he's actually the 7th ranked running back on this top 10. So there's a bunch of running backs. It's primarily running backs. But Charbonnet, number 10 playmaker for this list. Let's talk about it. Charbonnet is an interesting player because to me, he's almost kind of a mixture of like a Marshawn Lynch / Derrick Henry. He's very physical, and that's the first thing when you put his tape on. The guy's going to try running you over, but he has great feet. And to me, that's kind of that Derrick Henry type mold, right? You may expect this guy to put his shoulder pads down and run you over, and he may jump cut to the right. That's the type of play Charbonnet is, right? That's the type of player he is. To me, this guy's going to be a very good football player. Now, unfortunately for Charbonnet, he's not very fast, right? And it's very clear on tape this guy's not very fast. He is a little bit taller for a running back, right? 6'1.5 feet. And he's not very fast, so I don't think he's going to be a top 64 pick. But that could mean a lot of upside for a team that takes this guy sometime in the 3rd round, potentially in the 4th round. Charbonnet, number 10 player on this list. Let's get into number 9. I think some people may have this guy ranked much higher. Some people might say this is your number 1 receiver. That is Jordan Addison out of USC. I have him ranked at number 9, not because I think he's a bad player. I think he's a really good player, but I think there's just 8 players better at this point, right? Jordan Addison, I do think is going to be a 1st round pick. The guy has really good speed, especially on tape. He plays much faster than I think some people may think, right? He has really good speed, but for me, the big thing with him that I wanted to see this year was, transferring over from Pitt, playing at USC, adapting to a new scheme, a whole new culture. Are you going to be able to fit in and have success? And I think he not only showed up, but he more than surpassed most people's expectations. For me, when I watch Addison and I watch him separate, when I see him, hit a corner route and the cornerback guarding him is like 10 yards away from him, that type of stuff is special and that type of stuff translates. And I think for me, the biggest thing with Addison was his size is actually bigger than I expected. I remember when I was watching his tape, I said, there's no way this guy's 6 feet tall as he was listed. I said, this guy has to be like 5'9". And when he got measured and he measured at 6 feet, I was surprised. So Jordan Addison, number 9 player on this list, receiver out of USC. Jumping in at number 8 here, man. Devon Achane, running back out of Texas A&M, 1,100 yards last year, 5.6 yards per attempt. Achane's an interesting player because some people have him ranked as like RB2 or 3, and we have him as, I believe, RB6. So the thing with Achane that I really like is Texas A&M did a lot of different, inside zone, outside zone. And the thing is, he was able to do all of it, and they even ran power and duo, and he was able to do all of it, and he did a great job with his vision, his reads. And to me, I think this guy's gonna be one of the best running backs out of this class. I think the running back market is really bad for teams like for running backs like Saquon Barkley and Tony Pollard and Josh Jacobs. And I think a big reason why it's so bad for these guys is because of this running back class. In fact, I think most of these running backs in this class are going to replace those running backs. I think those running backs will be free agents the year after. They're about to get tagged. All of them got tagged this year. None of them have signed, interestingly. But I think these running backs in this class are going to make it very tough for the current running backs in the NFL to get these $15, $16, $17 million contracts. And in my opinion, a guy like Achane's going to end up going to one of these teams, and they're going to get themselves a really good running back. Number 8 on my list. Number 7, this one's a running back that I think a lot of people have ranked as like a 5th round pick, but I think he's one of the best running backs in this class. That is Roschon Johnson, running back out of Texas. There's one thing that I oftentimes look for when I watch a running back is your balance, right? Every running back that I look at, balance is one of the key components that I look at, right? Or traits, I should say. It's one of the key traits that I look at. It's one of those things that if a running back has great balance, they have the potential to be a really, really, really good running back. Because when you change direction, when you use your vision and you go from your right to your left, you have to have balance to be able to stay upright. How many times does a running back have the potential to hit, a 50, 60-yard touchdown only for a guy to like trip them up, right? And they're not able to stay on their feet. Roschon Johnson, when he put his tape on, has great balance. More than that, even better than that, I should say, is his stiff arm ability. I mean, the guy has a nasty stiff arm, and I think that's the first thing that sticks out. The guy will stiff arm anybody, and he will stiff arm 3 players within the same play. Like, and I guess I should just back up here. One of the reasons why Roschon Johnson isn't ranked as high as he probably should is because he was backing up Bijan Robinson, who is not a secret, is the #1 running back on my list. He's the #1 running back across 100% of lists out there. And any list that does not have him ranked #1 should be immediately invalidated. But Roschon Johnson was Bijan Robinson's backup. So when you look at that, right, when you look at the fact that this guy didn't get those opportunities, to me, it makes it hard to rank this guy as high as I may have him, but I think the guy is a special football player. We have him ranked as #7 on this list. I think he's going to be a really, really good football player. A running back that I like just a little bit more than Roschon Johnson is a guy that's also not getting enough credit. That is going to be Sean Tucker, running back out of Syracuse. To me, another trait that I look at outside of balance, and this one may be a little bit more important, is going to be vision. Sean Tucker has great vision. And it's crazy because when I was watching Syracuse's left tackle, Matthew Bergarian, when I was watching his tape, this running back kept flashing over and over and over again. I said, who the hell is this guy? And keep in mind, this was 4 months ago, right? I was watching the tape from last year. And I realized that this running back's about to come out in this year's class. And I kind of followed him along throughout the year. And Sean Tucker looked really, really, really good this year. In my opinion, he is one of the best running backs in this class. In fact, if you don't get Bijan Robinson, you could argue Sean Tucker may be the second best running back. Now, he isn't #2 on this list. Technically, he's #4 on this list. But he is one of those guys that I think is a plug-and-play day-one starter. And I think he's one of those guys that can play across the different schemes in the NFL. And we'll see as he kind of translates. He has, again, elite vision. And I think it's the trick that you got to have, man. He kind of reminds me of Breece Hall of the Jets of last year, right? He kind of runs similar to him. I guess if I had to put a comp on Sean Tucker, that would be my comp for him. Although they're not exactly the same. But let's go ahead and jump into #5. You got receiver #5, Jaxon Smith, Njigba, Ohio State. Interestingly, he didn't play all that much this past year. But in 2021, 1,606 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's ridiculous. That is with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave being like the 1 and 2 at Ohio State. Like, this guy outproduced both of those guys. And what's crazy is his stock's not as high as I would have kind of expected. Like, people aren't clear-cut saying this guy's the #1 receiver in this class. Some people are saying it's a couple other guys, right? Zay Flowers. Some people are saying it's Jordan Addison. Some people are even saying it's Quentin Johnson. To me, this guy's an absolute special wide receiver. I do think he'll be a slot receiver over an outside receiver. I think just the way he's kind of built, he's not the fastest receiver. And speed doesn't matter a whole lot if you're really playing in the slot and if you're super smart. And that's the kind of player that Njigba is, in my opinion. I'm very excited to watch him once he gets into the NFL. He makes #5 on this list. One guy that's ahead of him, #4 here, is running back Tyjae Spears. Elite vision, great patience, has the ability to go from 0 to 100 snap of a second, man. Tyjae Spears, in my opinion, is one of the best running backs in this class. And what's interesting, and I'll be the first to tell you guys, is I didn't even watch this guy's tape until he got to the Senior Bowl. Once he got to the Senior Bowl, he dominated, and I had to go back and watch this guy, and I realized this guy is an absolute special player. And that oftentimes happens, right? We don't see certain guys until the Senior Bowl hits, but Tyjae Spears is one of those guys that is different, in my opinion. He is RB3 for me. Great football player. I'm excited to see him at the next level. I do think he'll be a second-round pick. He is RB3, so there's 2 running backs better than him. You guys could probably put that together already. But before we get into the 2 running backs, number 3 on this list is wide receiver Zay Flowers. And you guys may not have expected that. I know some people would have said, Jordan Addison and Njigba should be higher than Zay Flowers. But I know there's a lot of people out there that agree with me when I say this. Zay Flowers is different. First and foremost, he has great jump back technique. When the ball's in the air, he will turn around, find the ball, and he'll pick it out of the air. Double coverage, triple coverage, it doesn't matter. Zay Flowers is different. The guy's a very stout wide receiver, and he is the type of receiver I would want on my team. In fact, he'll probably be a slot receiver, but you can also make the case that he'll play the outside. And what's the best part of his game, in my opinion, is once he has the ball in his hands, he has great yak ability. He doesn't solely rely on his route running ability, although he is a really good route runner as well. He can make a lot of plays with the balls in his hand. To me, Zay Flowers is the receiver you want in this class. Yes, I understand the size concerns, but I'm not really concerned about it. I think there are some receivers that are just really gifted, and I think this is one of those guys. I think if teams don't take this guy, and let's say you take Quentin Johnson, you take Jordan Addison, you take a bunch of other receivers before Zay Flowers, I think you're going to regret it. I think it's similar to like the Deebo Samuel type of receiver, right? Although I think Zay Flowers is a better route runner. I think he's better downfield, but Zay Flowers, number 3 on this list, number 1 wide receiver for me. My top 2 running backs, you guys can probably guess who they are. The second running back here is Jahmyr Gibbs out of Alabama. Every few years we get this running back that is a superstar out of the backfield, like just an absolute superstar. But they're also very good when it comes to playing around the line of scrimmage, right? Outside, inside, whatever it is. And Jahmyr Gibbs is that guy. Now, if you guys are into dynasty football and number 1 goes Bijan Robinson, and you have the 2nd or 3rd round pick, unless you need a quarterback, assuming you don't, Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy to have. I think he's going to be an absolute superstar running back in the league. Reminds me of Alvin Kamara, right? That is my comp for Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's going to be such a great football player. Great vision, great speed, right? Really good speed, I should say. And the change of direction, everything's there, right? This is one of those guys that's an elite running back. He has everything you want in a running back. Every single one of the tools you want to see, this guy has it. Number 1 on the board, obviously you guys know who it is. Bijan Robinson out of Texas, superstar, right? Every 7 years or so, you get this running back that is just different. He's just built differently. His change of direction is better than everybody in the class. His vision's better. His ability to break tackle and balance is just better, right? Better. 5 years ago, we had Saquon Barkley come out, and that was that guy, right? That was the similar type of player to Bijan Robinson. Now, Barkley obviously didn't work out as much, and you can blame that partly on the Giants' offensive line. Before that, we had guys like Adrian Peterson and Reggie Bush, and Adrian Peterson obviously worked out really well, right? One of the best running backs in NFL history is Adrian Peterson. And Bijan Robinson has that same type of hype. He has that same type of mold where this guy could be one of the best running backs coming out in this class. And when I look at a guy like Bijan Robinson, I look at the next superstar player in the NFL. In 3 years, when we look back and say who's the best player in the 2023 NFL draft, I have no doubt in my mind it's going to be Robinson. Obviously, I know the whole, does he go to the next team like the Giants, or does he go to that next team like the Eagles? And that's going to be the big part of how much success he'll have as he gets into the league. Obviously, running back position is dependent, but there you guys have it, man. That's my top 10 players at the playmaker position, or top 10 playmakers. One of the things you guys would have noticed is there were no tight ends on my board. And there were a couple of running backs that were right outside of the top 10. Tank Bigsby, a couple other guys right outside. Michael Mayer and Dalton Kincaid are the two guys that I considered for my list, but I ended up leaving both of them off because, you know, when you say playmaker, I think the thing with a guy like Michael Mayer is, yeah, he's a pretty good playmaker, but is he a top 10 playmaker? No. I wouldn't even say he's a top 20 playmaker in this class. But what makes him so great is his ability to block, right? He's a tight end, remember, right? Tight end is different than running back, receiver. Maybe we'll do a video separately on tight ends. I do have defensive backs and quarterbacks planned, so maybe from now until the draft next week, we'll be able to bust that video out. If not, you guys will at least get some rankings. Mayer is my number 1. Kincaid is my number 2. I'm not as high on Darnell Washington as others. Maybe we'll make a video and I'll talk about that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the top 10. Let me know in the comments below who your top 10 are. And any guy that I included or did not include, let me know in the comments below. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.